Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Drop Frames. We'll have Brian Fargo joining us a little bit later, around 3 p.m. Eastern, I believe. I think that makes sense in my head. But for the next 2 hours, you got us. Sorry. You're just... Sorry, apologies.
No. You get us.
You get us. Oh,
Yeah.
Not you got us. You get us.
No, it's a privilege to have us.
True. That's true.
I think.
Sure.
Yeah. Happening right now, this very moment, gentlemen, is the Call of Duty. What's this one called? The Black Ops Cold War multiplayer reveal. This very moment. Yay.
Blops cow.
Blops out? What? Blops co?
COD Blops cow.
COD Blops cow. Okay. Apparently they're playing the worst music ever. I don't want to unmute it because copyright, I'm sure. I think, was that the trailer? Is that all they're showing? We caught half of it.
November 3rd. Blops cow.
We already knew that. Early access only on PS4, October 8th. Is that what it said? I think that's all they're going to show. They'll probably go into some other stuff. We're not Call of Duty people.
Unlockable character. He's a woods operator.
Wait, why does that? Is this guy a developer or is he that comedian that looks like him?
He looks like Brian
I thought that for a second
younger
too.
brother. Yeah.
So that's not the comedian. That's
I don't. No.
I was on Just Shoot Me. I like Star Wars and fart jokes.
Yes, he does have that voice. Now it's all coming together. They've got quite the studio there in this thing. I'll keep an eye on it and see if they show anything exciting. We're not gonna watch a man just talk there that looks like a comedian from Just Shoot Me. Because we got other stuff to talk about. We got all the news. This morning, in the past 48 hours, Xbox just decided, thanks to a leaker, because of a leaker, a planned leak. It's one of those things we'll probably never know the answer to, but it's all out there, so no one really cares. The Xbox One S is a thing. The Xbox One X is a thing. They're both launching November 2nd. $300 for the S, $500 for the X. There's a financing thing, which I think is maybe one of the more more exciting announcements, where it's $25 a month, and you get the S plus 24 months of the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate version that now includes the EA Play subscription as well. Or November 10th, sorry, not 2nd. Yeah, so kind of a crazy deal. I think it works out, before the EA Play stuff, I think it worked out to be about $840 is what you pay over those 2 years, and you're getting about $860. But go ahead.
Collection agencies everywhere are like,
yeah. You're not wrong. Here's their page for this. This got updated this morning with their financing over the 2 years, but kind of a crazy deal, I think. For $24 a month, you get a console that can apparently go up to 1440p, up to 120 FPS. What that most likely means is it'll be 60 across the board, and then a couple of indie games will hit 120. Maybe. I don't know. The hardware is pretty intense inside, but pushing 120 on a lot of that stuff is crazy. This also brought another stat to mind that I was not aware, that people, I think only I think I saw the stat, 35% of households in America have 4K televisions, and that's it. For some reason, I guess I thought that number was much higher, but it seems like Xbox was aware of that. 35%, around 30 or 35% have 4K televisions, or 4K devices, I should say. So this box seems really smart to put out there for $300 that doesn't do 4K, right? Because that's
they
your
have
servicing.
cornered the value market.
Yeah.
Like they're with this and Game Pass was already, like we've been talking about for about a year plus now, already one of the best values in gaming, and that's the software side. And now they have the hardware side with we're going to give you almost all the power of our next gen console in a small little box that's much cheaper than the big console. So this is a really smart move, man. This was a smart move. It's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out in the grand scheme, with the big boys slugging it out with the PS5 and the Xbox X, right?
X, yes.
X.
Yeah. Did they announce?
It'll be interesting.
What is What is the all digital version of the PS5 called? Is it called the PS5 all digital version?
I don't know what the terminology is.
Yeah, I don't know
I
what.
don't know if we have terminology yet. We know there's going to be a digital version, but I don't know if we have like the actual name of it yet. Maybe PS5
I think the
digital or
running
something.
name is the PS5 PC.
That's accurate. Zeke's got insider information. um, right here, you can see the list of retailers. That's pretty much. I guess Walmart's. I guess the biggest one. So that should do well. I would think in terms of the financing here. But Cohh's probably right that. Yeah, this is people are probably going to miss a couple payments or something like that, and we'll see how it goes. I still think it's a really good deal though, specifically because you get the console and the 24 months, as well as the EA Play, which they just announced this morning on top of all that for $25 a month. That's kind of crazy. What's your face saying, Cohh? I can't read. What's going on?
Did they announce that plan is for both the consoles or just the cheaper one?
So it's right here. It's 35 for the better one, the X, the Series X. The Series S is 25. And then if for some reason you want the Xbox One S, which is the current console, that one's 23. I don't even know why they offer that. I guess if you want to get it now, maybe that's why they offer it. So you can order now.
Oh, they probably offer that for people that have a huge amount of media-based games that they don't want to lose going to the digital one.
Maybe.
That is one downside to getting a digital thing is like if you have a huge collection of media-based games, if you get one of these digital consoles, they're just gone. They're useless unless you want to, start like booting up your old consoles and stuff. So
yeah.
That's kind of a big issue.
Here's another beard.
And Battle of the Beard.
Yeah, this guy's won though. There's no battle. It's over.
Take him off the screen. Take him off the screen.
This is
it's okay. You're still glorious.
This is them going inside the Xbox Series S, which I don't know if I guess it was a leak, but I don't know. It's a weird conversation. Go ahead.
For the record, got a little bit more info here.
Okay.
Thank you, Nocturne, my chat. The program has actually been live for nearly 6 months. The news is that they added the upgrade options if you have the current gen. So that's why there's that old one still on there. It's been going on for a while. Thank you for that. I that went right under the radar. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. We'll let this little marketing video play here while we talk about it. So the leak happened on what's today? It happened Monday on US like late time. I would say like 8 or 9. I went to sleep at like midnight that night. I was like, wow, this is all like but confirmed. Woke up and Xbox basically tweeted, I think they handled it, whether it was planned or not planned, they handled it pretty well with just like the meme of like, oh fuck, this leaked. And I think that went over very, very well. Then an hour after that, about I think 3:15 a.m. They flat out just announced the Xbox One S to everyone with price as well as date. They confirmed that later in the morning, I think around 10 a.m. when they pushed their full video out. And then this morning, they announced like everything from the Xbox One X with the price, all that stuff. And now we're kind of getting into the specs, and it's all kind of out there for Xbox. And now everyone's waiting for Sony. Sony's been out there saying that this week they are focusing on the PSVR and that they have no plans. That was Monday. I think they doubled down on the PlayStation EU Twitter account this morning saying that they're going to focus on the PSVR stuff. Today's also the 25th anniversary of the PS1 launching. So if you were to do some new console stuff, today would be a pretty good day if history has anything to say for it, but maybe not. Maybe we'll be waiting a couple more weeks for them to get out there and say that. I guess a question for you, granted, we're not like super big industry insiders or anything. Do you think or PlayStation is like scrambling right now? Or do you think they're cool, calm, collected? Where do you think Xbox's leak/announcement has put them?
I think Sony still has the exclusive game pretty heavily. Like they know that there's a side to this console war that Microsoft really can't touch yet. So kind of like Nintendo versus Sony and Xbox went that kind of like, we're going to do something different, but very value oriented route. I think they kind of probably see Microsoft kind of going a little bit more versus that than the PlayStation holdings, as you would call them. Because PlayStation, nothing that Microsoft announced really is going against the real power that PlayStation has in this relationship. So although I'm sure they're probably looking at that with a little bit of concern, um, again, it's all going to come down to those games on which console you even entertain purchasing in the first place. And granted, the Game Pass is a great deal and it does have a lot of games, but if all the games you want to play are still on the other console, that's going to, it's going to be an issue.
Yeah, yeah. Zeke, any thoughts on it? Do you think Sony gives a damn about all this, or they're just kind of like, great, cool, maybe we'll adjust our price, but we're gonna do our own thing?
No, I think that the thing, if Sony's worried about anything, they're worried about how to compete with Game Pass. Like
Sure.
they want something like, I'm sure they're I don't know if they want to like just let Xbox have it and come up with something else, but that's the only thing I see that Microsoft has over Sony, and the only competition point because of the exclusives for Sony and that kind of stuff. Like Xbox has a couple of exclusives, but nothing obviously that matches the library of Sony.
Yeah.
So I think game service is or VR. Like maybe VR, like maybe they have something revolutionary. I will say, like, again, I've said this before, but the Sony VR system is as good as any. I haven't tried the Index, just put that out there, but it's been as good as any like VR that I've played, and it's half the price. So
yeah.
I don't know. I gotta say,
it's serviceable.
That thing they just showed there. At first, I was like, "Wow, the Xbox Series S is really fast." And then the more time that went on, I was just like, or maybe the other one's just really slow.
Yeah,
like
that's
it
what they're
became
showing
less
there.
and less impressive as time went on. Like, oh god,
this is in this almost 9-minute video. This is the most impressive part. The loading there of Outer Worlds, 53 seconds or something like that for the old one, and then 12 seconds for the new one. And then this right here is also very impressive. So this is him switching between the games. This is what they're calling, there's a buzzword for this and I forget the name of it. But watch how fast he'll just like load into dungeons and be playing. And then he'll do it like 2 or 3 more times. Quick resume is what they're calling it. Like they're just jumping from game to game, and in a matter of seconds, they're right back where they left off. So that's, I'm trying to think of like the practical uses for this, and that go beyond like, hey, look how fast my console can swap between games. But maybe you're waiting for a Destiny thing to spawn, and so you jump back over into another game and play for 5 minutes, and then you jump back into Destiny. I don't know. It is pretty impressive.
Maybe you're really indecisive.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive how fast they can jump between that type of stuff. It's essentially, I guess, what alt tabbing would be on a PC without the hopefully performance hit of having all those games loaded. So, yeah.
By the way, a lot of people bring up the point that Xbox has acquired a lot of studios lately, and that's true. And their game selection will probably be good. But a good way to think about that is all these studios that Microsoft has bought is kind of like planting seeds.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks really good and it could be great, but it's going to be years until we see this stuff like start bearing fruit, let alone, we start seeing what they're going to grow into. So it's really good that Microsoft is picking up these and they will be competitive, but at the same time, it's going to like the first kind of things we're seeing from that are like Wasteland 3, which is awesome. Wasteland 3 is amazing, but it's like one game. That's like one of the first like really awesome things to come out of Microsoft. Yeah. And then, we may have Avowed from Obsidian in 2 to 3 years. It's one other good game. So it's going to take time. And then the franchises have to get established and it's going to take time. It's going to take time.
Sure.
The first thing I thought of with a quick resume that you guys were obviously was definitely like you got the Pornhub app and you're like, no, I'm just playing a game. Just playing video game, just playing Black Ops. It's all good. I'm shooting guys. All right, you going back upstairs? All right.
Yep.
Talk to you later.
Yeah, I guess I could probably swap into the whatever. Does the Xbox have like an internet browser in it? As someone who's never used the Xbox to browse the internet, I have no idea. Does it?
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of like you can have Netflix, Pornhub, you can have all kinds of different websites like hooked into there.
Huh. Gotcha.
Zeke, our pornography correspondent, back on the case.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, like I'm the only one on this dais or watching right now that watches pornography. Come on.
You're the only one that talks about it 24/7. That's the difference.
Use your phone like a real person.
Too.
No, you don't.
I pepper in some games here and there.
No, you don't. The other stuff that came out that was big, you guys were talking about like exclusives. While they're not exclusive, both Ubisoft and Sega, I guess that's who produces Yakuza, right? I'm sorry, Yakuza. That's who puts that out there, right? Or publishes, not produces.
Publisher.
Yeah. They both announced.
Yeah.
They both announced new dates. November 10th for both of those games. They will launch on the Xbox Series S and Series X. So that's moving from the 13th for Yakuza and the 17th for Valhalla are both moving to the 10th. Both those companies were looking for an escape plan to get the fuck out of launch week of Cyberpunk. Is essentially what that was. However, it still makes that month insane. I don't know if you guys, we've talked about this maybe before. November 10th, Destiny 2 launches. November 10th, the new Xbox launches. November 10th, Valhalla and Yakuza launch. 13th is Cold War, the new Call of Duty game. Then Cyberpunk on the 19th, and then that new Zelda game, Hyrule Warriors, on the 20th. So, also, Linus is talking now on our stream as well. But it's crazy 10 days. Absolutely crazy 10 days of games. And for them to all launch on the same day now, I guess you guys are both going with Yakuza on the 10th? That's where your ship will... Are you going to do both? Or where are you guys going to go there? Because you're going to have a decision to make between Destiny, Valhalla, and Yakuza. Zeke, where do you go? None?
Yeah, not even close.
Yeah?
Yakuza all the way.
I figured as much.
Oh yeah. No, I'm been waiting for this for a long time, and man, it looks so good. It looks so good.
I mean, it's a tough one. Having never played the other Yakuzas, it actually is tough for me because it seems to kind of hit all those things that I want without having to play the other fucking 40 games that exist in the game series as well.
You did try Zero, right? We've had this conversation. And
Yes.
It didn't click with you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cohh, what's going on with you?
Here's the thing. I will probably do Assassin's Creed over Yakuza.
Yeah?
And the reason being is because Yakuza.
Here. Fuck this. Fuck the show.
Hold on. Wait, Zeke. Wait for the reasoning. Wait for the reasoning. Wait for the reasoning. I care so much more about Yakuza than Assassin's Creed. And I know that when Cyberpunk comes out, that I'm going to be playing nothing but Cyberpunk for weeks at a time. I care about Yakuza too much to split my extremely girthy playthrough of that game to before and after a potentially multi-week experience. Because I know that I may do back-to-back Cyberpunk runs if I'm enjoying the game enough. So it could be like weeks. So especially considering I'm playing like nearly 100%, no mahjong of the new Yakuza when it comes out. I don't want to do like a split. That would just be too much. So I'll probably play Assassin's Creed and just, maybe get through the main story and do some side stuff. I mean, who even knows how long it's going to be? It's an Assassin's Creed game. Let's be real.
Yeah.
So just do that for a while and then hit Cyberpunk when it comes out. And then the second I'm done with Cyberpunk, right into my Goromi-chan cosplay with Yakuza.
There you go. Yeah, I would think if you get Cyberpunk a little bit earlier, which you probably will, 6 or 7 days, you could probably finish up main story of Valhalla. You would think, right? If you're doing like 6 to 8 hour days.
Doing something very differently. Unless they're really bucking the trend, which Assassin's Creed is not really known for bucking the trend, especially in its own stuff. I think that's probably honestly a little over an estimate. You can use, granted with Origins and Odyssey, they did a little bit flip that on its head, especially with Origin. Like the main story of Origin did take a pretty good amount of time and even required some grinding at times. Yeah, we're going to kind of have to see where it goes, but we'll see.
Yeah, for me,
I'd say 5 days is probably.
I think I'm the only one of the three of us that like Destiny is kind of, I want to get, here's the crappy thing with Beyond Light launching, they're launching a new raid, which would launch, if that comes out on the 10th, let me look at the calendar, then that means that the raid will most likely launch on the 20th. So
Are you keeping up with Destiny? Like, Are you doing any testing stuff at all?
I have not played in, I would say, 3 months. Honestly, I've got too many grind games right now. I'm going between Final Fantasy, Avengers is like my nightly game that I play. And those are currently splitting. So with Path of Exile next week, one of those most likely will drop off. And it will probably be Avengers until they drop new content later in October. But I don't know. The raids are really fun. Here's the other thing, though. In order to do the raids, you have to have people to play with you. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find people to play Destiny over Cyberpunk once it releases, right? So it'll be an interesting time. We'll see how that week goes. It's going to be an insane 10 days. I didn't even mention the obvious biggest game in there. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory comes out on the 13th.
When does that come out?
The 13th.
Oh shit, I forgot what.
It's the 13th. I know. I can't wait to hear my
Same
favorite.
day as Yakuza. No.
Well, no. Yakuza comes out the 10th, not 13th. That's the big deal.
Oh.
Yeah. So you got 3 days to play that, Zeke, and then you can get into Kingdom Hearts. You're good. You don't have to make a decision.
Just 3. Yeah, just like a couple of 24-hour streams. Got it.
Yeah. I think me and my stream jokingly did the math and had conservative estimates on those games coming out of that 10-day stretch. If you do 16-hour streams and sleep 6 hours every day, conservatively, you should be able to finish all those games within, I think, 180 hours or something like that. So, just it's not the hardest. You could do it.
Yeah. No, like He-Man says from my chat, it's a good thing I play games really fast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're gonna be in a great spot when all those games drop, because you do play games real fast,
Now hold on a second. You said Yakuza released on the 10th?
Yep, that was the big news this morning for Yakuza, at least.
Oh, this morning. Okay, because I was like, I'm scaring, like I'm on the Like a Dragon site, and it still says the 13th.
Let me be clear. It launches for the Xbox on November 10th. I don't know if that means everything, or if they got like a 3-day exclusive period.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know if that means it comes to PC, because it's not a first party title, so it won't launch on Game Pass at the same time. So it's probably going to be the 13th still for the PC.
Oh my god.
So yeah, might get some streamer privileges though. I mean, it's 3 days. They'll probably give you a code early. Maybe we'll see. I don't know. Depends.
Yes, there's hope.
Yeah, there's hope for sure. Same thing for Assassin's Creed as well, with them launching. That's only on the 10th for Xbox platforms, and then the 13th everywhere else. What was its date originally? No, the 17th everywhere else for that, I think. So yeah, that was all this morning. That's kind of all the Xbox news. Right now, everyone's obviously going to be waiting for Sony to make their call. Pre-orders, they also announced, open up later this month. Do you guys know the date, or have I think the 22nd? What was the launch date for pre-orders? 22nd for that. So if you want to get an Xbox of the new platforms, 22nd is when you can pre-order. That's 5 days after the new 3080s. And I think the 3090s are the 21st.
You could get a Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5 or a graphics card.
Yeah. On the 24th is 3090. So if you can wait 2 days, you could just get a brand new graphics card. Not even a PC, just a giant fucking graphics card for the price of 3 Xbox Series X's, actually. You could get 3 of them for that. So.
Or 5 for the little ones.
Yeah, exactly.
And then network them together to some kind of Xbox Voltron and maybe get, less than a minute loading times.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Yeah, for sure. Have you guys seen how big that 3090 is, by the way? I don't think it could fit inside my case.
I believe the term chungus was made for something about that size.
That's fucking huge, man. It is a massive thing. I know that EVGA has a 3090 coming out that's only 2 PCI slots. And they somehow made the cooling technology still fine for it, but yeah, it's huge. It's a big fucking card.
I don't know if it's been done yet, but You remember, like, I would love to see a parody video of. You remember the opening of Spaceballs?
Yeah.
Where they have the ship just like continuously flying in because it's so huge. Just a 3090 just going for like 5 minutes.
It's big. They're fucking big cards. This is the is this the 3090? What am I looking at here? I think this is the EVGA 3090.
It's got ripples. It's aerodynamic.
Yeah. It's also, I think it has RGB nonsense too. Because of course it does. Yeah, that is the 3090 there for EVGA. Oh, that is. What is the? I don't know what the Kingpin. Now we're getting into weird stuff that I don't understand what I'm looking at. This is just hardware porn at this point for advertising for them. So, yeah.
Hold on, let me take off my family-friendly thing here. Hold on.
Yeah.
Somewhere,
Take that off.
Okay, we're good.
Somewhere in the UK, Barry Carlion is naked from the waist down.
Accurate. What else is there? Cohh, have either of you been keeping up at all with the Epic Apple stuff? Like, apparently Apple is countersuing for damages now, or some like, I can't keep track of it. It seems like every single day, fucking new legal speak comes out.
Yeah, Epic is apparently hemorrhaging a lot of money. So this is costing them big time. Like, apparently there's a daily total of millions that's being hemorrhaged from this. And Tim Sweeney, want to say that's his name? He's been on Twitter lately lambasting Apple for losing the principles of the development and the tech industry and all of this, and kind of going a different direction with it that's not going to really make him more money in the whole situation, kind of trying to, hold Apple to principles, which is not the best idea these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I don't know, man. It's interesting. Nobody's really winning from this though, because apparently not only is Epic losing money per day, but so is Apple. So they both stabbed each other and they're bleeding and they're yelling at each other while they're bleeding. But while the lawyer doctors are just standing there like,
they're just stuffing the money in the wounds, and so that's what's keeping them from
exactly.
bleeding.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much what they're doing. They're filling their wounds with literal dollar bills, like out of Scrooge McDuck, and just gold coins and expensive cigars. And yeah, it's weird, man. But the thing is, it's kind of like how bad can you really feel for the like two monolithic companies that are trying to have like a principle off.
Yeah.
On this kind of stuff, Apple trying to defend we can do what we want on our platform principles, and Epic trying to defend, well, stop being a dick principle. And it's interesting where there's no real roadmap to where this is gonna go. Obviously one of them will probably have to give, as the people that really only care about money are eventually going to stand up and be like, this has gone too far.
Yeah.
Like one of their boards is eventually just
one of the investors, or boards. You're probably
exactly
right.
So it's going to be interesting to see which one gives first. I mean, especially like Epic is rolling in money these days. Thank you to EGS and Fortnite and all that stuff. Apple is not doing poorly. Especially how considering with all their flub about how cheap they can make their stuff. So it's it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I think Apple in like the wake of the pandemic is one of the companies, much like Amazon, that's just fucking soared. They actually have a big conference next, I think on the 15th actually, where they're probably going to be announcing the new phone, I would think. So they're doing pretty well there, but this whole like Epic Apple thing is gone on in my eyes too far, so much so that I don't care about it anymore. And I feel like it's been interesting watching sentiment, especially over in chat, at least in my chat. I don't have y'all's chat open, but it's been, at first it was like they had like all these fucking hashtags like save Fortnite and whatever, and now it seems like all of that's switched over to Apple's in the right here. Epic fucked up.
2 hours ago on the Epic Twitter, Apple will no longer allow users to sign into Epic Games accounts using Sign In with Apple as soon as September 11th, 2020. So I mean, they're going all the way down to like basics here.
I saw that yesterday when I logged into the Epic Game Store for the first time in months. It was like, you can log in with your Apple account, but I guess not for very long.
Well, you can for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the funny thing that also is kind of interesting to consider is the fact that like this whole like Epic kind of has this principled stance right now of like, you should allow us to do this because it's the right thing to do. But at the same time, it's kind of funny because Apple's position is this is our store and we can kind of do what we want on it. This is in the thing you signed. You knew what you were getting into. But the whole reason Epic wants to do what they want to do is just to make a shit ton more money.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they're taking the principled approach to it, but really they just want to make a whole bunch more money on the store. And Apple is in the same boat going, well, we actually want to make a lot more money on this too. So it's just two big companies going, we want to make a lot of money. And that's really all it comes down to. You can kind of shave off all the fat and get down to the meat of it. And that's really kind of where we are.
Yeah.
They both just want to make a lot of money.
The only way that
and that's it. Really.
Maybe this ends because Epic announces that they're getting into the phone business. And they just launched their own phone with their own store.
We call it the e-phone.
The e-phone, yeah. Yeah. Wait, wasn't that the phone from Mr. Robot? Wasn't that the evil corpse?
Oh yeah, it was E-Corp. Yeah,
oh,
it was E-Corp. Yeah.
I think they had the e-phone. Yeah.
I was just like, it's weird to think that Epic, they're huge and all that. They're the underdog in this. Like they're like that. It's so weird to think of that. Like Epic is huge. It's worldwide. It makes billions of dollars, but they're not Apple. They're they're eclipsed
or
by the juggernaut that's
just
Apple.
that there is no underdog. This is a fight between it's like a boxing match versus two people that either could win. It's like there's not really someone to cheer for. The little guy is not really going to win from this. Like it's just two huge sluggers slugging it out.
Yeah.
So you're saying kind it's like a boxing match between Cobra Commander and Skeletor. It's like you're not really rooting for either one.
No, Skeletor. You got to root for Skeletor. That's it. What the fuck?
Cobra Commander, are you crazy?
No, Skeletor is so much better than. Have you seen the memes with Skeletor? He obviously wins.
Cobra!
Yeah, he's a skeleton. He's great. He's awesome. He's 100% Skeletor. Team Skeletor. Obviously.
Okay.
Yeah. So that whole thing's a shit show. We'll keep our eyes on it, but yeah, it's getting to the point where it's more legal jargon coming out of everything that happens. That it's just I have to do some Googling to actually realize what that means. So my interest is fading fast when I have to do a little bit more legwork than read a headline. With the Epic and Apple stuff. I should have brought this up when we were talking about
the only slightly
NVIDIA,
good thing is if Epic somehow pulls this off, then a lot of people that aren't Apple will start making a lot more money. Not just Epic.
Sure.
So that's the only kind of interesting thing to this. If somehow they hang into this fight long enough, then it could really change the face of like how those stores are run. So
it could.
I think a lot of people, especially in like the development side, that don't necessarily have a dog directly in that fight are kind of rooting for Epic. Because if Epic does win, then they stand to benefit potentially significantly.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, if they're even going to have a chance at winning, sanctions and stuff are different. So we'll kind of have to, we'll see how that goes.
For sure. I should have brought this up when we were talking about NVIDIA. AMD announced, this was 11:07 a.m. this morning, that on October 8th and 28th, you can, quote, learn more about the big things on the horizon for PC gaming. So I guess in their tweet, they said, let me pull up this graphic. The Zen 3 chip or something will be on the 8th, and the RDNA 2 thing, which I think is their graphics. So is that the processor on the 8th and the graphics, the GPU on the 28th, RDNA 2? Is that right, chat? Yes. Okay, I'm getting confirmation from that. So they're going to break those two things up.
Probably smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially right now. Yeah, I'd say like the NVIDIA stuff had a lot of hype. So it's a lot of people are waiting for AMD's response. Where at the same time, the AMD and Intel situation is a very different beast than the AMD and NVIDIA situation. So being able to kind of separate that and compartmentalize like where it's going well, let's make sure it keeps going well kind of thing could be very advantageous for them.
Yeah. I think, and I'm probably going to get destroyed in the chat for this. I think right now in like the CPU world, Intel is currently a little bit better for gaming, but for like streaming PCs, AMDs are in the lead. Am I wrong with that? I'm probably wrong.
I'm going to be honest. It changes so much. I don't even know at this point. I remember hearing a whole bunch of great stuff about AMD for a while, but of course that stuff changes on a dime.
Yeah,
like,
it does.
You know, just like what's going on with the new Nvidia cards. Like one release comes out and everything switches around. So, but last I heard, like a lot of people, in fact, people that used to be like Intel people, were tweeting about like the AMD stuff and wanting to get AMD machines and things of that nature. So I personally am an Intel guy, but that's only because that's my comfort brand.
Yeah.
You know, like I've been AMD like I've been AMD since the Core 2 Duo, since I used to OC my Core 2.
You've been Intel.
Like 1.5 gigahertz Intel, yeah. Like up, you know, that's just kind of been my thing forever. But of course it's bounced back and forth since then, especially in terms of value for what you're getting for what you're paying for.
Right.
So
I was gonna ask you like what that means, what you just said, JP, is as far as like Intel's for this and AMD is for this. Someone in chat, Killasin, said Intel is for frame rate, AMD is for decoding and compiling.
Yeah.
Is that like the dumbed down version of that? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was curious as to what you meant by that.
I think that, but it's like, I think it's marginal. I think they're pretty close to one another. And I also don't, I think maybe the bigger comparison comes into like price point. I don't know if Intel or AMD is more expensive. I haven't looked honestly at building a PC in a while. The only thing I have looked at recently is just prices of hardware to begin with because of the new GPUs coming out. I also think that AMD is the only chip right now that you can do PCIe 4.0 with, and Intel's not there, so it will be faster from an SSD front when you build new PCs. But once again, I want to reiterate,
you know what we should do?
We're streamers, not like tech bloggers or anything like that.
There is a custom BC build company called Power GPU. The guy that runs that, he's all over Twitter. We should bring him on and have like an entire episode where we get fully up to date with this stuff.
We should
like have him go over like what's the latest tech, what people are doing, like what's the best value. That could be a really fun episode because to be honest, I could use that
awesome.
refresher.
And then we'll get free PCs out of them.
Yes.
Who's with me?
It sounded like the plans of the underpants gnome. It's like, we'll get him on. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Get free PCs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, you're right, Cohh. We should do after maybe that October 28th announcement, when the RDNA 2 stuff is out there, so we can talk about everything.
Hey, Cohh, did you know the Power GPU is in here? Dude, my streaming PC is a Power GPU PC. Not an ad, by the way.
Not an ad.
Yeah, but no, my GPU died, and I actually drove to his freaking house, and he repaired it over the weekend. The dude's a total bro. It was great. Yeah.
We should definitely.
That's one of the reasons I was thinking about
it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. We'll have him on end of October, maybe. Whatever that. What is the 28th? Let's see. Let's look. Oh, that is a Wednesday.
I'll throw him a ping.
That is actually a Wednesday. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll talk for sure. It'd be nice to be up to date and all that stuff. Because like you, I'm kind of Intel in terms of just a comfort brand. The last time I had like anything AMD was probably like a 9800 GPU when I was like 14 or 15 or some shit like that. It was a real long time ago. So we'll see what MD is going to bring on the 8th and 28th of October. What else is there? Tomorrow, Ubisoft is doing another Ubisoft Forward. I don't know what Prince of Persia has been like rumored. I think that according to this article, there was art spotted in a Ubisoft Forward promo image. I don't know. I feel like the last one was like, the last Ubisoft Forward was fine. That's where they showed Valhalla and Watch Dogs. But their like public sentiment right now is in the sewers. It's in the trenches. It's not going well. So I guess we'll see how tomorrow goes. They've had a whole slew of sexual assault cases and people fired left and right, and it kind of goes all the way up to the CEO level there. And yeah, it's not been good times for Ubisoft.
Pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty bleak. But they're doing another event tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, never mind. Yeah, I think it was an ex-Ubi guy, but the Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 stuff was not great either. You guys hear about that? We talked about that
a little bit
right?
about that, but yeah, I think we only talked about that because we talked about when he was let go and then said he wasn't sure why or something like that. Did that ever come out?
And then they brought in no, Not as far as I know. And then they brought in the ex Ubisoft guy to fill in the gaps, which is kind of like probably not the best timing. But yeah.
Yep.
Hopefully we'll get more information about that and can talk about it a bit more informed.
Yeah, we'll see.
Nice.
I'll do one last little scoop. This Microsoft thing is still going on, or this Call of Duty thing is still going on. They've got Maven on there. I don't know what they're talking about though. I think they just showed some zombie stuff. This might be about the Pro Tour, which the biggest change for people that I guess don't follow that whole thing is they moved the teams from 5 people to 4 people, and they actually had to like cut players from World Championships teams like less than 24 hours after they won the World Championships. So that was kind of shitty, but it's been a weird thing following all that. I think this is just old stuff, so we'll keep an eye on it. Let me see if there's any other news. Any other thing that you guys want to bring up for news? I think that's kind of it.
I feel like there's a few things.
Gears Tactics is coming to consoles November 10th.
Mind right now.
Dirt 5, also another launch title, moved up to the November 10th. I don't know what the original launch date on that was, but it's now a quote launch title.
There was the fun clickbait stuff about Cyberpunk that they had to clarify. That was kind of fun.
So how did all that start? Because like people were like, "Oh yeah, they said this months ago," but yeah.
A company clickbaited out that Cyberpunk Cyberpunk confirmed they're going to be microtransactions, and they didn't, and that then sent a firestorm across Twitter of people being like, "Whoa, what are you talking about? Oh, CD Projekt Red, you breached my trust. How could you?" Blah. But what it was basically referencing what they had said months and months ago, where Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out, and once that's out and done, there's a separate project based in Cyberpunk universe that is a multiplayer game. And in that game, they're planning on having some form of microtransactions. So the Cyberpunk guys had to come out and be like, guys, it's exactly like we said it was. There are no microtransactions in Cyberpunk 2077. Like, done, period, end of story. And then our next project, we haven't even really announced yet. Like, we don't even know what their multiplayer project is. They haven't even talked about it the slightest bit.
Yeah.
And they probably won't until the Cyberpunk stuff dies down completely. But yeah, so it was kind of funny though, because there were some somewhat reputable people who were like crying super foul really loudly about how terrible it was. And it's just kind of like, we've known about this for a long time. Like it's just some company being clickbaity, man. It's not a big deal.
As someone who's been in the Avengers weeds with microtransactions and people getting very upset about that, has that reached a boiling point? Are we at the peak of that outrage, or is that still to come?
The UFC stuff too. But I mean,
I saw the UFC. Different. That's right. Yeah, where they put full blown ads in UFC 4, right? For something not UFC 4.
Yeah, well, no, they put full blown ads in it, kind of like they would if you were watching the actual UFC. And then the best part is this is EA of all people. This is EA who makes it their life to figure out how much money they can bleed out of the stone that is video games. And then the response was so great, where they were like, "Oh, we had no idea you'd be so angry. Like, oh, we're so sorry. This is terrible. What?
Is EA Mickey Mouse? Clue. What is that a Mickey Mouse?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Disney's buying EA.
But no, it was so funny. They were just like, we had no idea. Oh, woe is us. We're so sorry. We're so sorry. Yeah, it was just like the most asinine response from them. And it's just like, no, you're not sorry. You were just seeing how far you can push it. Just like you do with every game you release.
Yeah.
It's testing how far you can push that line.
That's where every company's at.
So yeah. Oh, it's so funny, dude. It's so funny. And to see people like actually be like, oh, it's okay. We know you're trying. No.
Wait, so chat's saying it was a ad for The Boys was in UFC 4 and it was not skippable? Like what was the actual ad? Do you know?
I read something, but I don't want to quote it because I don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
But it was basically from what I remember reading, it was similar stuff to like the actual UFC things. EA's thinking was that the fans are used to this.
God.
So we can kind of slide it in and it would be okay. But it was not. Yeah, chat is saying it was The Boys. Yep. It was a Prime Video thing for The Boys. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to
Skylark, is that one of the quotes? It is abundantly clear from your feedback that integrating ads into the replay and overlay experience is not welcome.
So this is what it was. Right here it says the boys on, just like it does on any UFC ring when they show the actual UFC. They've got Toyo tires, Reebok, all that stuff. But this is the thing. It was a full screen like transitional production ad of the boys popping up there in the game. Wow, that's wow. They're just like not even trying to hide that. It's not
putting
subtle
it right
at
in your face, man. And the entire time you're playing, it's on the screen. Like,
oh my God,
you're there in the bottom.
Holy shit, they like lower thirded and everything. What they should have gone with
again, they were trying to. Their thinking was that the fans are used to this because
totally
this is like what it's like when you watch UFC TV. It's exactly what it's like.
Yeah.
So they were trying to like emulate that experience in the game.
Yeah.
The experience of real advertising.
That's what they should have gone with instead of being like, oh, I didn't know you guys would be upset. Just be like, we were trying to make it like as 1-to-1 with the UFC production.
We're just trying to make it immersive, man.
Yeah.
Like we're just trying to give you the true feel of UFC.
Now, I'll be fully honest. There's someone who watches almost every single UFC like big event. It's not that egregious to me. It just feels like I'm watching a UFC event there. Granted, maybe if I was playing, that'd be different, but yeah. That's crazy that they're pushing
also, you have to think people play this game for like hours at a time. So I'm sure like the more you play it, the more it's just kind of shoved in your face that it, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Wow. The new surprise mechanic, surprise ads. Surprise, you just got added.
Good Lord. Yeah,
now, do you think
that. Go ahead, Zeke.
Maybe I'm out of the loop on this, or maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but
maybe both.
Do you think like those ads change? Like if they're in, like if you're online, like or if you're you like sign into your PlayStation account, whatever, and they update the game, do they update the ads in the game like as you go?
I don't know. It depends how
they would over time.
Yeah, depends how they
sold
exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because I mean, the boys like that'll be like hot news for it's been hot news. It's gonna die out.
Yeah,
like in the next couple of weeks. Being like, we're updating your game, and then it's like the new Amazon series. Check out this fucking thing.
Well,
for sure, dude. It'd probably be exactly like TV. They just sell it in blocks. So companies would probably buy it like days or weeks at a time. And then that would sell out and they'd either re-up and give them more money or just move on to the next person that wants to have their brand advertised.
I bet if they didn't get called on that bullshit, the next thing that EA would do is offer, I don't know what the price of UFC 4 was. If it was $60, I bet you they would offer a $70 version ad free or some bullshit like that you see with like Hulu and whatnot, where you can get like the $10 version of Hulu or the more expensive or the more expensive version of Hulu where there's no ads. I bet you that's like the next step. I could totally see them doing that. I could totally see someone trying that and then getting all the backlash, and then every company would be like, all right, well, you took that one for the team. We're going to try this. We'll let you know how it goes. And then they'll tell the rest of the industry.
I like how a lot of the people in chat right now are just like, JP.
I mean, you're probably right. I do get a cut of all this, so I hope they go that. Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
If that were to worm its way into the right person's ear, that could change the face of gaming pricing.
They've been thinking about that for years. That's not a unique idea that I just came up with. They've been trying to do it for years, I'm sure. Yeah. I think is EA getting on board of raising their prices to $70, or is that just 2K at the moment? 2K games. I think they're pushing everything to 70, but I don't know the other companies that are like getting into that yet. If EA was one of them,
maybe the next Madden will be $70.
I think 2K and Activision. Activision is the other company. Call of Duty, the new Call of Duty will be $70. Wow. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Crazy. Almost out of news.
I'll just stick to indies. Them $14.99 on sale for $13.99.
You're not wrong. You're in a good place for sure. This came out, I think, before last week's show, or maybe after. Me and Cohh promised we would talk about it. Did you watch this yet, Cohh? The new PoE trailer?
Oh, I did.
That doesn't sound. Where are you at with it? My quick thought, and I got lambasted for saying this, but my quick thought was, I don't want to do that much. I just want to kill things. And they're like, oh, the streamer has to do more than 2 things in a map. Wah, wah. It's like, no, that's what I want from PoE, though, is to just murder things, not think about how I'm going to murder things. I just want to murder things. Where are you at with it, Cohh?
Well, it's interesting because like I feel like PoE has a voice. I feel and funny enough, I think I'm probably going to say kind of like what you're saying in kind of a slightly different way. But I feel like, over time PoE is really it's refined what it does into almost an art form. Like, so what I feel is it's like the best expansions, the best leagues are leagues that find ways to integrate themselves properly and in an entertaining way with that mechanic. And when I see a league like this, my first impression is this is unique, this is interesting, this is really cool.
Yeah.
The next thing I think about is this looks nothing like what I do in PoE normally.
Exactly.
Like it looks very different. It looks like a lot of times, like I've said on stream during my many times I've played PoE, the mechanics that I actually do, the mechanics I really enjoy are ones that I can do in line with what I'm already doing. Like that's one of the reasons I love the Metamorph League so much. It's like you get these parts from just killing the bosses like you normally do, and then right before you leave the map, you take a look at them and you throw something together and you pop out a boss and you blow it up, and it's like that's awesome. Like that's super cool. It's just in line with everything you're doing. But it seems to me like if you look over the history and you see like the leagues that have had the most impact, they've been the ones that really kind of tie into that main loop the best. So it's not that I don't think this looks cool. It's not that I don't think it looks interesting. If anything, I think it looks more interesting and cool than a lot of leagues. But it's going to be interesting if it's so different and so cool and so unique, most importantly, that maybe it's going to detract a little from what you normally have fun doing in PoE, which is just like you say. One of the things I love about PoE is just mindlessly grinding maps, interacting with chat, hanging out, and just like not having to really like do a huge amount of planning or focus. Now, of course, that comes from my perspective of how I enjoy PoE, and everyone enjoys this game differently, especially for a game this size. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that look at this and they're going, "Man, I'm bored of all that stuff Cohh just said. Like, I can't wait to try something new like this in my PoE." But it's really going to come down to implementation. I have not watched the director's stuff yet, where they go in depth about how it's going to tie in and how it's going to work.
Yeah.
I do plan on trying it to seeing how it is. So I am going to be diving back in on this league and kind of hoping that it's going to be something that kind of grabs me and maybe it'll pleasantly surprise me as they've done in the past. But when I did watch the trailer, I was just kind of a little bit like, this seems almost like its own game. Like it almost looked like the trailer for an indie game or something. It didn't really look like a trailer for a PoE expansion. It looked like its own beast.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
To take the conversation to PoE just a different direction for 1 second, it just dawned on me. I feel like they showed PoE too early. Because now every time I see something new from PoE, I think I just want to play PoE 2. And I think that like
the power of the tease, man.
Yeah, I feel like that might have bit them in the ass. Because I that's not a unique sentiment. I see that kind of across the board a lot of different places where people are just saying like, I'm gonna sit the next couple of leagues out and just wait for PoE 2 whenever that comes out. And so I really wonder like, how long we are or how far out we are. I think they said that would be out somewhere around like 2021, but now with COVID and everything, it very well could have been pushed back a lot moving forward. So yeah, we'll see where we go.
I'm seeing a lot of people that are making it very clear that like you can do the content at level 1 or you can skip it and just do what you want and do that kind of stuff. But that's the thing, that one of the big reasons I like revisiting PoE is because there's new and engaging things to do. So if there's like an entire league mechanic that I'm not really into, then I'd rather just wait until a league where there's something like, holy shit, I want to try that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not in a rush to return to it. Just like Warframe, PoE for me is a game where it's like I return to it when there's an attraction for me to go back. So yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I completely understand where people are coming from with that. But at the same time, it's like in that case, I'll just wait.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. So that's the PoE stuff. Launches next Friday. So in 2 weeks' time, we'll probably be talking about it on the show. And with that, I think we're good for news. We got about an hour till Brian Fargo will be joining us here, so we'll take our break then. But for now, both of you, Zeke, I'm not sure if you finished it, or maybe it's really this short. Both of you guys played the Control DLC. I have not, but I'm very much interested in hearing about it. How is the Control AWE DLC? Where are you guys at with it? Zeke, we'll start with you.
Well, I'll start.
Go ahead.
I'll start.
Yeah. Also, can I show this before you talk? Sorry, can I show this footage, or is it going to be too spoilery?
You can show mine.
Okay, it doesn't like spoil that. Should I just show old Control stuff? I'm just going to show old Control footage. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, mine will be short because the thing with Control is it's great. It's fantastic. But for some reason, the last couple of times I played it with the new expansions and the new like DLC and stuff, like it fucking tanks my numbers. Like I usually don't care if I get to a certain point, I'm like, okay, it's a lower day. That kind of like, or I judge my days usually like what I average for whatever game. This game, half. Like seriously, half of what I would normally get. So I was like, what in the fuck? No one wants to watch me play this at all. It must be boring or something. So I played about 4 hours of it. And then I went, I'm going to switch, man. I'm going to switch it up. And then immediately, like, I went into just chatting and just numbers shot up. Like, I don't know.
It might have been spoiler purposes.
I don't really have a lot to say about it. You think it's spoiler purposes?
I don't know, maybe
I don't
people
know.
didn't want to have.
I mean, if Cohh did well, I don't know if you did well numbers wise, Cohh, but I know that I
average.
did not. Okay,
it certainly wasn't
average,
a big one.
Yeah. And it's not that
I think it was pretty average.
It's not because it wasn't fun. It was fine. It was more Control, which I absolutely love. I think it was number 2 or number 3 game of the year.
It was a drop frames. It was our
number 1.
Yeah, drop frames game of the year.
Like our cohesive number 1. But I just stopped playing it because it was just not doing well at all. Like noticeably bad.
So it's also kind of interesting.
It was fun
because like just to go a little bit like overarching meta with it. The last year for you have kind of found your voice in a lot of ways on Twitch with your indie games. And a lot of times, like, I feel like that's what people go to see. So I'm kind of in the opposite in a lot of ways, where a lot of times people come to me to watch like the AAA new releases and stuff like that. So for me, if I play indie games, a lot of times I don't really do super well. Whereas like when you play indie games, you skyrocket and that kind of thing. So like, that's why for me, this game wasn't huge for me, but it wasn't bad. It was pretty average. But also, as some people in chat were pointing out very aptly, Control is kind of a niche game. I wouldn't go as far as saying like cult classic, but like some people really love Control, and other people just don't know why those other people love Control.
It didn't sell
like
well.
it's kind of weird. Yeah. It's this very kind of strange situation. It's kind of unique to Control as a whole. Like me personally, I love it. I think the aesthetic is cool. I love how weird it is. I love how just like off the wall and crazy it can get. I played through the entire AWE DLC and the Foundation before it. Loved them both. Had a great time. Looking forward to more. And also, this isn't really a. Can I say one kind of big spoiler about this? It's kind of interesting
about the new DLC
because I know about this DLC. It's not really about the DLC
hands
itself,
up.
but it's more what it is.
I got my hands up.
Okay, hands up for a quick spoiler. If you're ever planning on playing, and this isn't really a spoiler before I say it, but here we go.
Okay.
The entire DLC almost feels like a commercial for a future Alan Wake 2.
Is that a bad thing?
No. But it was when I finished it, I was definitely like, holy shit. Like, I think that's what I just played through. Like just a giant like
that actually makes me want to play it more.
Yeah. Like it was kind of interesting. It basically like it kind of and now I'll be sure not to spoil from this point forward.
Yeah,
the whole DLC kind of lays this interesting foundation that can very clearly be built off. And it does it in a way where it is its own self-contained thing, of course. Like I'm not saying that it like leaves you hanging, but it very much does a good job of world building, is what I would say. Like it brings in these new elements. We're just kind of like, oh, I'm starting to see where this small sapling could grow into a tree. Like it's it's cool. And honestly, I really hope that's what it was. I hope I wasn't picking up on it wrong, because honestly, I think it could be really cool if that was the case.
Did you mean to use metaphors there that could be directly tied to the game 3 different times? Or was that just something that happened? Did you somehow get mind fucked by Remedy? Is that what's going on here?
I might have a little bit. I might be doing some kind of subconscious focusing here.
You definitely
yeah, no. But no, I definitely didn't mean to. I don't know what you're talking about. So,
okay.
So that's kind of where we are.
All right. Zeke,
well,
what were you going to say?
I'm just saying, like, that really is not, if you played the game, like the core game already, it's not really a big spoiler, the ties to other shit. Like, that's something like, when I first like picked up like a couple of like collectible items in the new expansion, it didn't surprise me at all. So I don't think that was much of a spoiler, and they don't make their ties to other shit, like they don't hide that shit. It's same company. Same
I will
shit.
say that that other franchise I mentioned during the thing there, it was really surprising to me how many people would drop in and be like, "Wait, that's in this?" And it's just like, yeah, they were kind of public about that.
They were very public about
it was kind
of
funny. They were kind of public about that. So, but it was really funny, like when people would see things that reference it, and they were just like, "Is that the blah blah blah?" And it's like, yes,
Alan Wake is,
it's
beloved. I'll just come out and say it. Yeah. People really like that series. And I think a lot of people were upset when Control was announced and it wasn't an Alan Wake game. Because that's what Remedy's kind of known for.
One of the reasons I think it'll be so cool if they can loop it back around like that. That would be a kind of 4D chess long-term gameplay there.
The Remedy universe, cinematic universe. How long was the DLC? Cohh, you finished it. How long was it?
Not very. I think I want to say it was maybe a little bit shorter than Foundation.
Really? Okay.
The map itself was not very big. It was basically just like a section that you kind of work through, and then you get to the end. And I don't want to spoil it too much, but
sure.
It was relatively linear and in a smaller area. So yeah,
cool.
But it was good. I did some interesting things.
Did you pick up and read like all of the stuff and all the side notes and whatnot?
Most of it. Okay. I think there were a few towards the end that I didn't like. The stuff that you pick up and it's obviously not really related at all to what's going on. Like I'd open some up and do a quick skim, and if it had nothing to do with what was happening, I'd kind of just keep going. But the big sheets on the different artifacts and that kind of stuff, we pretty much read all of those. Yeah, and there was some really cool lore in that.
Cool. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll check it out on stream. I'm a pretty big. I guess we're talking about the other person, entity, IP in the game without saying it. I'm a pretty big fan of that other IP. So I think just because of that, I might go check it out. But it might be awesome.
You've already said it out loud.
Have I?
Yeah,
maybe.
Okay.
Gotcha.
You can say Alan Wake.
It's now. Alan Wake.
I mean, it's called the AWE. So
yeah, the Alan Wake experience, man.
Yeah, it's the Alan Wake experience. Cool. My little quick game, not necessarily gonna spend a lot of time on this. I play this game called Spellbreak. Have you guys heard of this? This is a BR wizard.
I've seen a few people like jumping into this.
It's interesting. It's a really interesting BR game.
Is this a sponsored run for you?
No, it was not.
Okay. A lot of people sponsored to play this, and then a lot of people not sponsored to play this. So I was kind of like, what happened?
I saw.
I was kind of curious because I had never heard of it.
I caught a stream of Lyric doing a non-sponsored stream of it. I think he might have done a sponsored stream and played after, or it doesn't matter. I saw him play it, was like, damn, that looks pretty fun. And I hadn't played really a BR game or even a multiplayer game in quite some time, so I decided to jump in. This is like a pretty unique take that I think at first look, it doesn't look like there's that much of a skill gap in here. But let me tell you, if you're good at this game, it is like a Street Fighter player who wins Evo versus someone that just picks up the game at GameStop for $5, right? Like, it is crazy how good you can be at this game. I guess to break it down very simply, you get 2 gauntlets. You're a wizard. You get to pick out of 6.
Oh, Lyric's playing it right now.
Yeah, okay. You get to pick 6 different starting gauntlets. One of each element. There's fire, ice, toxic, lightning, earth, wind. So that's your starting gauntlet. Each of those have like innate abilities that only work when they're your starting gauntlet. In game, you'll find the other 5 gauntlets and you can pick those up. And then the game starts to get interesting because it starts to mix the different elements. So, for example, if you are fire and earth, you can make a firewall, which is one of your 2 abilities on the fire gauntlet, and throw a boulder through it, which is what I just did right there on screen. And that boulder will catch on fire and do a little bit more damage. And the different elements have different synergies like that. There's also different things in the sense of every single time that you make it to the next circle, your like powers level up. So that firewall I just did, when you get to the second circle in the game, when you run through it, you actually start to fly and you get a little bit of like a movement speed buff from it, as well as like a vertical thing. There's also a shift ability, which are different items in the game. And that comes from like, you can be invisible. You can do like this wolf cry thing that shows other people on the map. There's one that's just straight up flight, which allows you to fly. There's different things like that. But ultimately, it's a mix of all this stuff that really makes it work. And it's also just, I feel like in a lot of other BR games, I get frustrated at the movement because like you're a guy with a gun moving around as you would just any normal person. In this game, you're a fucking magic user who can like fly and hover and just teleport the fuck away at 100 yards. It makes it really exciting when you get into those combats because it's not contained in a room. It's contained on like the actual map. And so you're flying. It's like a fucking anime where you're flying 100 feet away. That guy teleports right next to you and like launches a boulder and then flies off or goes invisible or something like that. I had a lot of fun with it. I played it for about, I'll say maybe 4 or 5 hours yesterday. And I definitely want to return to it. I'll probably play some tomorrow. It might just be scratching that BR itch that I get every once in a while, the biannual BR itch that doctors say to look out for. But yeah, it seems like a pretty unique take on it. It's also free. It's also Epic Game Store only. So if Epic Game Store makes you a little bit whatever, if you still have issues with that, that's the only place you can grab it right now. I don't know if they have plans to come to Steam. I think they just launched in 1.0 like last week. So it's fairly new. That's probably why I saw all the sponsored streams go.
Somebody said that they actually didn't do any sponsored streams. So I'm trying to think if that was the right game I saw.
Might have not been.
I thought it was Spellbreak, but maybe it was something else. But no, that was actually the other thing I was gonna ask. Like, why did everyone? Because isn't this game kind of old? Wasn't it?
I think it's been in beta for a while.
A while back.
Yeah, I think it's been in beta, but it just launched. People are also saying you can play it on PS4, and there is crossplay. But yeah, it's been in beta for a while. I had a couple of viewers, even some of my mods who've been playing for a long time.
Okay, some people in chat just saying they did see ads for it. Okay, maybe that was something on or Epic.
I mean,
or something. Who knows?
I've seen a handful of like the big BR streamers, like Lupo, Lyric plays this. Josh OG was playing it. Cypher, PK, a bunch of those streamers have all been jumping into it. But yeah, I enjoyed my time with it, and definitely want to go back.
It's also on Switch. Oh, interesting.
Really?
Huh.
Yeah, I think this would be a great mobile game. I could see me playing this on the iPhone. Never mind.
Man,
I had to get it in there.
No, it's good. It's good.
That was pretty good.
With how fast paced this
is. All right,
is.
JP, you sold me on it.
Well,
give it a try.
Let me also say this: as a Quake player, it hits all the right notes. In terms of the fire is essentially the rocket launcher, the lightning is essentially the railgun, kind of ish. So if you're looking for one of those type things, definitely check it out. We had one of the devs in the chat yesterday. I think this game started out as an arena shooter, and then it turned into a BR game, which I guess is just kind of a sign of the times in terms of what's hot in the shooter world. But I kind of want to echo what Gathalion said in the sense of it. They could really do a lot with the framework of the game. Like it could be a great horde mode game to just do like PvE content. It could be a great arena. It could be a great BR. They could do a lot of cool stuff with it. The abilities and just shooting stuff and how quick it is to pick up and understand at a base level, but also how hard it is to master it. It seems like it's got some legs on it. My only worry is that
I like how I see a lot of things going on in this game that don't involve precision aiming.
No, that's just because I'm bad. Let's be honest.
No. I'm saying that it's very clear. Like I'm seeing a lot of AOE's and I'm seeing a lot of like large scale things and more positioning things than like pointing at someone's head. That bodes a lot better. But then again, maybe now that's what you're doing right now that I'm looking.
There's a lot of precision aiming in this game. It just doesn't appear.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
All right, uninstalling.
Aim definitely matters. There's no headshots though. Let me be clear. There's no headshots, so you don't have to like aim for the head. But like, if you're really good at Quake and knew how to use the rocket and like predict where people are going to move and like shoot a rocket in that direction, you're going to excel very fast. A lot of it is kind of like prediction aiming. There is like an AR. The lightning is essentially like an AR as it would be in any other BR game. But it also has like spells. So left and right click do each of the two gloves, but Q and E do each of the two abilities. So like lightning, you can summon a like lightning bolt to strike down on a certain area. And if they get stuck in that, then I think the other person can't use abilities for like 2 or 3 seconds. Or if you have like a fireball, they get burned. And then there's different, like I said, the elemental combos. So if you throw like a tornado down as a wind, you can shoot a fireball into that tornado and it turns into a fire tornado and does like damage over time to anyone stuck inside. And it's really cool when you're just kind of walking around in the world because there is loot to collect. You do have to kind of like level your character up. There's 3 different item slots. Then there's 3 different scrolls that increase different things, talent stuff that you can choose. But when you're walking around in the world and you just like, you start to hear the rumblings of a fight, it's honestly like any anime you've ever watched because you start to see like a tornado pop up from behind a mountain. And then you see like a giant explosion for some reason right there. And you're like, there's a fight going over there. Let's go see what that's about. And you'll pop up over a hill and you just see like 2 wizards fucking just jumping nonstop with explosions going off everywhere. It just looks really cool. It's the type of thing where I haven't really seen that in a BR, right? If you hear someone fighting in most of the other BR games, it's because they're like shooting each other from around a corner and someone's trying to get that sick headshot.
That is so much loot.
This is the pregame stuff. They basically allow you to jump in and grab all the stuff so you can test it.
I was gonna say, man, that looked
no, that's
like
not
a
normal.
lot even for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it just
well, cool, man?
now,
I think I'm gonna try this tonight.
It's
I'll
cool.
See how it is.
Yeah.
It's cool. Good recommendation.
What were you saying, Zeke?
Is it just straight up BR? Are there squads, teams, anything like that?
There's solo queue BR and there's 3v3.
Okay.
And talking to the devs, because I was curious for my own interest, they said that the team play stuff is more competitive, and both my chat and the dev agreed that it's also harder because you get into these team fights and like combos come into play. So if you have someone,
I'd imagine,
it gets real intense, real fast, and yeah, it gets wild in terms of just the amount of shit happening on your screen. I played mostly solo. It's interesting. The first couple of games that you get put in, you get put against bots. And then as you continue to play a little bit more real people. So like I won my first like 8 games. And so I was like, this game's great. This is fantastic. I'm doing so amazing at this game. And then it put me in like real games, ultimately is what I would call them. I think the highest I placed was 6, and I never got past the first like fight multiple times. Like I would spawn in and just die. Because certain elements are just stronger at the beginning of the game. If you have the earth element, its main attack, its innate ability, if you have that as like your first weapon, every time that you deal damage, you get armor back. And so it's just really strong when you're getting into those first fights. But as it gets later on, the other stuff kind of balance out. So that's probably the biggest issues with the game right now is understanding the different like rock, paper, scissors between the different elements at different stages in the game, and also just the different combos. There's multiple times where I still don't understand when someone would throw down like a toxic cloud, but then toss a fireball into it. And then the person that casted the toxic cloud, if they run into it at level 2, then they go invisible. But if you toss a fireball into the toxic cloud, it explodes, and just like different things that happen where it's like, I don't I don't know what the fuck is happening. A lot of points, but it's good. It ran very well. I never dropped below like 150 FPS or 130 FPS. It's not like
Who makes this?
It is a indie game. It is from Proletariat Inc. I pulled up my email there because they shot me an email about it. Proletariat Inc. Incorporated is where it comes from. But
cool.
Yeah, it's
now,
cool.
Did you? I'm only seeing you try this particular character. Did you try out any of the other ones? I'm assuming there are other ones.
Oh yeah. I played all the different elements or whatever. It's all the same character. You just choose a different element. But you can see here, like what I was talking about in terms of how elevated, like we're just jumping off this fucking castle in the middle of this thing. And then I'm flying over towards this person like an anime character at Mach 10 because I know he's going to heal. I'm trying to hit the shot, but I'm terrible at it. End up killing him. But other people are joining in this fight now that maybe have like invis or stealth. So it gets pretty intense in the amount of space that the fights occur on is much more than like a normal BR game. And I think that's maybe why I'm most interested in it. Because I've played, every shooting type of BR game that's ever been out. And it's all, at the end of the day, you're a dude walking around with an AR, right? Like, I've played that before. This one's great because I'm a fucking wizard flying around casting spells and shit. And that's an interesting take on it. So I hope it does well. I hope that they garner a pretty big player base. It seems to be doing pretty well on Twitch now. I know that a bunch of, like I said, the big BR streamers are into it, but really this game comes down to if people are actively playing it and you can get people at any time you queue. It seemed like I could yesterday. I don't necessarily remember seeing the same people over and over, so it seems like it's got a pretty healthy player base at this point in time. So definitely going to play more of it. I think me and Golden Boy are actually going to jump in tomorrow night. He's been enjoying it, which probably means he wants to cast it as well, which means that maybe they have some esports stuff in mind. But you got to make a good game first.
Casting this game.
Oh, it'd be a nightmare.
That's a wind blast we left. Is that a fire tornado? There's a poison cloud over there.
Yeah. Golden Boy could probably do it.
A little intense.
Yeah, with how many games?
Oh yeah.
Well,
oh yeah.
I mean, the same thing when I look at a League of Legends.
Sure.
Like anything, because I know jack shit about it.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of knowing exactly everything that's in the game.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Golden Boy do some shouting, casting of this. It'd be great.
That'd be cool. Someone in my chat says that the dev yesterday said that they have something like 2 million downloads so far on Epic. So that's pretty healthy. Yeah, for sure.
Not bad.
I think I don't know if it's an exclusive contract or like what the contract is with Epic, but reading chat, playing it yesterday, that was the major gripe that a lot of people had is like, I have to download the fucking Epic launcher to play this shit. So if it ever comes to Steam, I bet you it would do exceptionally well as well. That is Spellbreak. Cohh, what have you been playing? What should we talk
Played
about?
some Necromunda.
Oh yeah, how's that?
It was pretty cool. A little bit of jank and some AI issues, but it was fun. Interestingly enough, the way that for those that don't know, Necromunda is Necromunda Underhive Wars, and it is the newest Warhammer game. It takes place in this giant city called Necromunda, or the Underhive, maybe. And it's basically like it's gang warfare, based on 3 different gangs. And it's right now it's kind of interesting because it's basically 2 different games. So what I'm playing right now is basically through the story mode, and that follows the gangs from actually different perspectives. So you'll play one gang, one mission, one gang, another, and it's about this derelict technology that gets activated in the bottom part of the Underhive, and these gangs are fighting down to get to it. There's like this persistent character kind of working all 3 of them, and it's been interesting so far. I spent about 7 hours in it. It's basically like a glorified tutorial. And because there's not really a lot of depth to it, it's more just like learning the tactical aspects and things of that nature. But then there's the second part of the game, and that is the kind of sandbox mode. And it's too bad we didn't have Strippin on today because he's been playing a lot of it.
Yeah, Strippin's like
the sandbox mode is where this game really gets interesting because basically you pick one of the gangs and you have like a hideout, and you not only make your group of soldiers, you can have 5 active and up to 10 in reserve, so 15 total. And then those characters have like full inventories, perks, skills that level up, and you kind of take them through this sandboxy where you can like you have to defend your headquarters, you invade other people's headquarters, and I haven't even gotten to that part yet. I briefly looked through kind of like the gang creation stuff, and it looks extensive. Like you can, there's a lot of customization based on how they look. There's different classes. Each of those classes have stats you upgrade. There's a full inventory for each that apparently there's a shop in the game, in-game shop, in-game currency. There's like specialty things you can upgrade. There's skills. They all have skills, and you have to like pick certain ones. There's passives and actives. There's leaders. They have their own thing. All the factions have their different elements as well. So it's big. It looks pretty big. Like we talked about a lot during the stream. Unfortunately, over the last few years, there's been a lot of kind of Warhammer games that have just been kind of money farming.
Yeah.
Like basically what I was told is that Games Workshop essentially got the owners of the IP. They essentially got kind of taken over by a group that was just kind of looking to see how much money they could get out of the franchise. And they were just like pumping out game after game after game, just giving the IP to basically whoever wanted it. And that led to this kind of slew of lower quality Warhammer style games. There were some gems in there, like Vermintide and Space Marine. I've heard a lot of good things about. Even the Inquisitor game, the ARPG, I've heard is decent. But thankfully, from what chat told me, because chat's always right, and I'm hoping they are in this case, they recently the Games Workshop stuff has kind of reined it back in.
Oh,
and
really?
kind of the more right people are now kind of righting the ship, and they're kind of like, we want to start making more quality products that really like speak highly to the franchise. They're not just there to farm it for money.
Good.
And this feels like a good step in that direction. It does crash every so often. There are some AI weirdness, and every so often, like there's a little jank. But I'd say 80 to 90% of the game that I played was just fun. It was tactical. It was enjoyable. The cutscenes are really high quality, and I'm planning at some point to return and at least finish the main story and probably dip into the sandbox mode a little bit too.
So are you actively traversing? Like, are you walking forward right here, or is that the AI taking over?
Yes.
Okay, so you have
Basically,
active control. Okay.
Yes, the way that it works is you have, like, if you look in the bottom left there's that yellow bar at the bottom. That's your MP.
Oh, yeah.
And as you move around your character in basically a free roam style, it moves your MP down based on your point of origin when you started your turn. You also have AP, and that's the actual actions. So like a melee character can expend all of their AP or MP moving up to an enemy, and then they can start spending their AP to attack them. There's also like standard Overwatch thing. There's Overwatch things. There's tons of abilities. There's traps, aim shots. All the normal kind of tactical game stuff is in it as well. There's also a whole lot of verticality to the levels. Where characters can rappel, like you just saw, down everywhere. Pretty much that there's a ledge. Other characters can use like grappling hooks to go up. There's zip lines you can take and things like that. And lots of different weapon types, 5 different classes. Yeah, it's pretty much a fully fleshed out tactics game.
Cool. Yeah, you mentioned Strippin's been playing the shit out of this. I think he's playing with a bunch of different friends of his, so in the sandbox
He's
stuff.
been trying.
Oh, he's been trying.
Apparently, kind of similar to Wasteland 3, unfortunately, there seems to be more prevalent bugs in co-op. So where I played solo and had a pretty damn good time, just like in Wasteland 3. If you start doing co-op, you start to see more crashing, and there's like some disconnects and stuff. Apparently the Necromunda guys are on it, and they're just like Wasteland 3. They're trying to get patches out as fast as possible to kind of get that stuff worked on. But I did hear that it's a little bit rougher when you start doing co-op stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I was gonna ask about not that I trust like Steam reviews in like 100%, but there was mixed reviews, and I was wondering if there's anything you ran into. I was looking at some of the reviews. Some people were saying bugs. There's some things that need to be fixed and whatnot.
There is a little bit of jank. Like at times, it definitely feels a little indie game-ish, especially with the AI. So like there were definitely a few times when like an AI would have a basically guaranteed kill against my person, but instead they'd like run halfway to my guy, do a move that reduces their movement rate, and then go off in a random direction and turn on their like Overwatch. It's kind of like, what possible reason would you have had to do that? Like there's no discernible strategic reason that you would have done that. Other times an enemy like ran back and forth through fire and killed themselves, and it's just like,
yeah,
what do you so there's just these like weird little things that happen every so often. It's not like it happens all the time. And sometimes the AI is pretty on point, but there definitely is some jank. When you vault over things, sometimes it doesn't work properly. It feels kind of like 95% actually finished sometimes, but overall it has worked. Also a little bit of a balancing issue on a couple of the missions, but minor.
Gotcha. It's I could take everything you just said and apply it to Marvel's Avengers, and I think it would be accurate as well. Like that game.
I've heard Marvel Avengers. I've heard is a lot worse crashing. Oh my lord, dude!
It has some issues.
How have you been with that?
I put about 70 hours into it so far, which is
70.
I love it. Look, if you take Destiny and put Marvel, that's my dream game. All right, that's my dream game right there. So I put a lot of hours into it. However, I will say if you are not a huge fan of Marvel or a huge fan of Destiny, specifically both, this game could be rough. Almost every single day I would experience at least 2 just hard crashes. I fixed all of my FPS issues. That's not to say that there aren't FPS issues. I know the console version of this game is much better off than the PC version. PC version just has like some bad stuff happening. There's a handful of bugs. I think a patch just went out either this morning or yesterday or very soon, where people are just like straight up fucked in terms of progression of stories, single player. Certain missions just like will not advance. I think some of that stuff has gotten patched out. But to like echo what I said on stream, like when this game's firing on all cylinders, it's just a ton of fun. The unfortunate thing is that's very rare. Like every once in a while, the game will just straight up fucking crash for no reason. There is definitely a memory leak. I had to restart probably every 3 to 4 hours. It feels like that memory leak, at least for me, occurs the more that you die. So every single time it goes into the loading screens,
man.
Yeah, every time it goes into the different loading screens, it felt like it would get worse. But at the end of the day, like I see myself playing a shit ton more of this, especially if they keep the updates coming in terms of actual stability and all that, and especially if they keep the content updates coming. That's going to be the biggest deal. Right now, there's 6 heroes. October, I think the end of October is another one, and then November is another one. Those are both free. All the DLC characters are free. So you can just jump in and grab them. They're going to have story updates with that. I didn't expect the actual, like I finished the main story. I should say the single player story.
I want to talk about that. I've heard like nothing but good things about this.
It's phenomenal. I finished it up. I played it on brutal and it took me about 20 hours, mostly because people would on normal get to a boss and one shot it. I would get to a boss and be on it for about an hour. The way they handle introducing the characters in the single player is the single player starts off, if you're playing on brutal, the mobs are plus 15 or plus 16 power level, right? And when you get introduced to a new character, you're usually level 1 power and you're fighting level 16 right out of the gate. So like a normal mob will just walk up to you and literally one-shot you. So you have to play perfect for about 30 minutes until you start actually killing mobs. However, none of this is true unless you're playing on the hardest difficulty, which doesn't get you anything. There's no reason to play on the hardest difficulty in single player unless you're just an idiot like I am. If you play on normal, you get the same amount of drops and same amount of all that stuff. So that's what I would suggest to people that don't want to struggle bust their way through it. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's got, I think the first and final missions are probably the best missions in the game. There is somewhat like filler stuff in between. But if they make more content and they get the feedback that I'm hoping they get from that final mission, like this game could be really fucking cool 6 months from now when there's no bugs and like they've ironed all that shit out. They could do some really cool stuff. I guess for reference, I can't say it. It's super spoilery for people that care about that. But if you're a Marvel fan and you know the comics, there is a lot of stuff that happens where you're just like, oh shit, they're going that direction with it. And it's stuff that's kind of unexplored in the movies, if not never explored in the movies. So really good stuff towards the end. I would liken it to an Uncharted experience. To be honest, it's on that level of like production and whatnot, with the added issues of like just straight up crashes every once in a while, where it just they need to patch all that shit, or game breaking bugs where you'll get to a mission and something will happen to where you just can't progress until they patch it. I've seen a handful of people, not a handful, I've seen a lot of people have that issue as well. But when you're like right here, I'm playing as Thor, I'm just fucking murdering people as the God of Thunder, and it felt great to just like turn around and cast a spell and just
God of Thunder in a t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm just an average, construction worker here with my hammer, just fucking murdering these robots and like calling the Bifrost, and Heimdall sending me down and doing a shit ton of damage while stupid sexy Hulk is there in his like weird outfit. This skin of Hulk has like really wet skin. And so it just looks it's odd. And he's wearing like cut off jeans, and it's a weird skin choice. But yeah, that's what I went with for that. I played Thor and Captain America, both the level 50 and max-ish power. And that took about 60 hours. There's content in terms of, I think I haven't finished all of it, like post-story content. But I think the final one is what they call a hive, which is, I think it's 14 floors and it's single player only. And you get to choose one hero to go through each floor out of the 6. And you try to make it as far as you can go. And so that requires you to have, I think, all of the heroes like somewhat leveled up. So the grind is definitely there.
What do you get for doing that?
Gear and XP. You also get an exotic, which is kind of like their highest tier of loot from finishing that mission. I don't know if that's every single time. But yeah, there's a lot, definitely a lot of content. I will say though, like I have to mention it's tough sometimes with the bugs. I would get like those hives where I'm talking 14 floors. Some of the lesser hives are like 6 floors. We'd get 4 floors in and it would just be a bug where we just had to leave. We just had to restart the entire mission and lose like 30 minutes of work, which is really, really not what it should be. I think, I don't know who to put the blame on, because I guess maybe Square for one to push this out. The PC devs are different from the console devs, and it feels kind of like the console devs were good and the PC devs are like, all right, yeah, we'll make it work. Let's push it out. So
wait. The game is exactly the same on both of them, but had different developers?
Yeah, I think it was just like a different dev team took care of the PC build of the game. I think. Don't quote me. I hope I'm not saying the wrong thing there, but I think that's what happened. Yeah. But they're developing together, but it's different studios. Apparently Nixes is the name. Nixxes is who ported it. I don't know what else they've done. Apparently Destiny did that as well. So I don't know. I'm just going off what chat's saying there. But yeah, I'm enjoying my time with it. Like I said, I think, what does Steam say? Steam says 64 hours right now.
You play the story mission as, is it Kamala or something?
Yeah, so the story starts off with Kamala Khan, and as you get introduced to different Avengers, they have like their own missions where you play as those Avengers. You don't really get to choose which Avenger you want to play as until you get to multiplayer.
Okay.
And
is she among them?
Yeah, Kamala is honestly one of the best written characters in the game. Like, she's fantastic, and her voice actor.
That's what people are saying.
Her voice actor is phenomenal. She holds her own, and sometimes is even better than the other voice actors.
Okay.
And that's, like Troy Baker, Nolan North, like, the heavyweights.
I'm just not seeing it on the screen right now. So
this is purely multiplayer where I'm playing as Thor, and Kamala does have issues in terms of she's one of the only heroes, and then we'll move on from this. For some reason, Kamala, who she's an Inhuman, and her powers are that she effectively can be. Most people would relate it to Mr. Fantastic, but it's the story stuff behind it is a little bit more advanced than that. But at a baseline, she's Mr. Fantastic, and one of her abilities, she can grab people in like her arms and like move them like this, and it'll do damage. But every once in a while, that arm will just get stuck in the nether. And it can like flat out pull you out of bounds and just like break the game. I never experienced that in single player, but playing with one of my mods, Reggie, who was maining her, we would definitely get into a room and like all of a sudden I was Thor outside in space with Mjolnir just fucking taking me to Valhalla at like Mach 10, just flying away from the level. Like, it was interesting to see that stuff. So we had to put like a rule where no one can bring that character into multiplayer because it seems to break some stuff. Hopefully that gets patched as well. I feel like I'm saying that about everything.
Patched for the main runners, but for speedrunners, I'm guessing they're hoping it doesn't.
Yeah.
If it's an easy way to get out of bounds,
maybe so. You might be able to just like skip all that stuff. I never found a way to get back in bounds, so unless you reload the level or like reload the checkpoint. But yeah, that's Avengers. I'll definitely be checking it out as they put out DLC stuff and keep an eye on where they go from here in terms of actual patching, because they definitely have some work to do. It is by no means a bug-free game. It's very buggy, in fact, specifically the PC version. But yeah, that's probably it for that. Zeke, you want to talk about? Deponia. Am I pronouncing this correctly? Deponia.
Oh yeah,
Deponia. Yeah,
Deponia. Let's talk about
it. Okay, let's talk about Deponia. Well, Deponia is a game that came out in 2012. It's a point-and-click game. It has a pretty decent like fan base following of people who like it, and people have been asking me since I play a lot of point and clicks, or have played a lot of point and clicks over the years. Been asking me for a while when I'm going to play it, and really psyched when I said now's the time we're going to play it. Let's check it out. There's a few things that Deponia definitely has going for it. The art style is phenomenal. I love it. The animation is great. It's colorful. It's bright. It feels like an updated version of like a Monkey Island or something like that. So it like took all the pixelation away and smoothed out all the lines. The voice acting is great. There's a couple things it has going against it. The main character, you don't really like him all that much. He's not a really likable guy.
In what sense?
Is kind of
like bad dialogue or just not interesting or?
No, himself, like the character of him, like the way he's portrayed, the things that he says. You're just kind of like, wow, this guy's kind of a dick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's like, you can sort of get behind like a roguish main character, like a Han Solo or something. Like they'll do like, scandalous or nefarious things, but you kind of like them because they're dashing and they have redeeming qualities. This guy's kind of like just doesn't have a lot of redeeming qualities. But that aside, the game is well put together. Point and clicks a lot of times deal with moon logic, and I won't explain it again, so don't fucking ask. Just jumps of logic. This game doesn't have that, but I did get stuck a few times because the clues were kind of not pointed out. Like they'll say something, and once I figured out like this goes there, the previous like throwaway that I thought was a throwaway line like makes sense. So going forward, I was like, okay, there's some lines you could pay attention to, the lines that you think might be throwaway lines, because they'll pertain to shit later. So there was a couple of points where I got stuck and then figured out, oh, okay, so they do like put subtle clues in there as to what like how to progress, how to figure out like this balloon filled with laughing gas, you hook a fucking fishing line to it and then you put it over here.
Sure.
Yeah, the voice acting is great. The story, like, it didn't seem like there was a lot of urgency or the stakes weren't that high. I never felt like really into the story. I'm wondering if it gets better because there's 4 editions of this game.
Yeah, chat was saying there's a lot of different. They said that the character improves as well throughout the game. So I don't know if that they got feedback that he was kind of a dick and they dialed that back a little bit or what.
Yeah. But it really didn't like. it's missing something. Deponia, the first game at least, is I only played the first one. It's missing an edge or something that stands out. Like Leisure Suit Larry has all those dumb, lame, tongue-in-cheek like sex jokes and stuff like that keep like it has its own like voice, its own style. Like other great games that I played, like Day of the Tentacle and Grim Fandango, they all have their own like style and voice.
Yeah.
This one just seems like it's struggling. Like it doesn't have anything that I could point to and go, that's the reason why people like it.
Is it pretty well beloved? Saying that, like, do people?
It's pretty popular.
Okay.
It's not. I mean, it's not as popular as the games I previously mentioned, but it definitely has a following. And I'm struggling to see like maybe it gets better in the games that come after it. Because this game, like I was like, the puzzles weren't like super hard. The jokes were good, but they weren't great. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's a good game, but there's nothing I can really say about it. It's like a nice beige suit. You know? Like you can't
put that
really
on the back of the box.
Like, yeah. I'm just waiting for something to really stand out about it, I guess. I mean, the things that stand out are the animation and sometimes the music. Like sometimes that stands out about it. But as far as the core of the game, maybe it'll come together in the next. The thing is, like it did, like if I may speak business wise, it did pretty good viewership wise. Like people want to come out and see this.
I've never, to be honest, I've never heard of the game. So maybe it just never got represented on Twitch at all. People love supporting games they like for sure on the platform. So,
but I'll definitely be checking out. Oh, sorry.
What were you saying, Co?
Go ahead.
You said you played an hour of Deponia?
Oh, I was gonna say I played an hour of Deponia for the Intel as many games as you can thing during the competition, and I think that's maybe all I played of it.
Man, we bring that. I think that's becoming a reoccurring segment where we bring that up every show. It's got so many callbacks.
It really does.
Yeah.
But I'll check out the second one. Like I like to give a little breathing room in between either game titles or game styles. Like I want to put something in between. And that's why I switched over to Wasteland, because it's drastically different both in style and in gameplay from point and click from 8 years ago.
Cool.
But I'll be checking out the second one someday.
Okay. Gotcha. What else? We got about 15 minutes or so before Mr. Fargo shows up. Cohh, how's that remake of the game from 2012? Did it need a remake? Let's start with that. Did Kingdoms of Amalur need a remake?
Well, it's not a remake.
It's not a remake.
It is a remaster. It is a remaster that has slight graphic enhancements with like some shadows and stuff. They also added a camera thing. You can adjust where the camera is in FOV. They also added a new difficulty level that I'm playing on and having fun with. They rebalanced how some of the leveling is done. They reduced the amount of experience gain. They changed how levels interact with you to make it a little bit more difficult, so it's not quite as a walkthrough. And as I found out last night, there's still some of the same bugs that were in it 7 years ago that can ruin your saves.
Really?
Yeah, I'm done with this game for now. Both my saves have been basically completely bricked. There's a part in the DLC called Dead Kell, where a character, after you defeat the final boss of the DLC, you have to run out and these rocks fall behind you. Well, the character that's running with you gets stuck. It won't follow you. And no matter what I have done, I can't get him to follow me past a certain point where these rocks fall. And the game says to leave the area, you need to talk to him. So what's even more hilarious is there's 2 known workarounds to it. And they fixed so both of those don't work anymore. So I am basically just completely screwed, and I cannot continue my playthrough of this game right now.
How many hours did you put into it?
Should have hard saved more, but I honestly was not expecting bugs from 7 years ago to still be present in a new $40 title that they're selling. So
yeah,
it's a well-known bug too. So that's really unfortunate.
So maybe less game focused, more like the business side of things. The company that put this out went bankrupt and closed shop. Who re-put this out?
Okay, this is a THQ Nordic who picked up the IP.
Okay.
THQ Nordic is a large, well-known company. And I think they basically got the IP and they tried to do like a little amount of work and kind of push it out the door so they could, make some more money. Also, it's important to mention there's a new add-on for this game coming out next year. So they are. I'm thinking because it was a cult classic, they're kind of going like, okay, let's see how much money we can make off this. Let's put out a new product to see if it's good enough to actually get new sales. And then if it is, maybe they'll make a Kingdoms of Amalur 2 or something like that. So it's kind of like a big testing the waters thing. But
is he just bleeding, dude, talking to you the whole time?
The whole time he's sitting there like gushing blood out of his neck.
Nice.
Now here's the thing.
You got red on you.
A little bit. And then what's even funnier is like when you watch after this cutscene, he's limping around, being stabbed in the shoulder. It's even weirder. Anyway, the game is fun. I have spent like 30 plus hours in it. I think I was really enjoying it. Like I got up near to the end of the game, and then I wanted to go to the DLCs. Like it's a fun game. Also, if you already own the original, it's 50% off on Steam when it hits Steam. And they're also doing like a 10% sale on top of that. So I mean, like, there's good things about it, and also not everyone. See, you can see him limping around now. Not everyone has the same bug that I do. Like some people apparently don't get the bug, so it's fine. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where if you really liked Kingdoms of Amalur back in the day, or you're a really big open world RPG fan that can play older games and enjoy them, like it may be worth it for you. Especially if you already own the original, it's half off, and if you kind of want to revisit it, like it's a fun game. I had people drop in the entire time I'm playing it, be like, "Oh, I love this game. This is so good." Ari Salvatore was the writer, and so there's a lot of really good things about this game. And if you do everything, if you actually do like everything there is to do in the game, you're going to be in this game over 150 hours. It's a big game.
Yeah.
So like if you're planning on doing a big, I'm going to go everywhere and do everything run, like you'll definitely get your value out of the game. So, there are some good things, but like many pointed out during my run, especially after I got it, charging this much money for a remake when it still has the exact same issues that it did like a long time ago. And even though mine was game breaking, there's other bugs and stuff that are still in the game. It's kind of like, it's a little frustrating. Especially when you're trying to like bring back in a remaster to still have this stuff there is frustrating. So, the next telling thing will be to see like, how is THQ going to react to this? Like, are they going to go on a frenzy of patching the game and trying to fix it and make it good and something that's really good? Or is it going to be the kind of thing where they just shoved it out the door and they're like, yeah, maybe we'll patch it, maybe we won't, we'll see. The ball is kind of in their court at this point. It's already kind of a negative since these things are still here, obviously. But doesn't mean it's not salvageable. Like if they can get the bug fixed in a reasonably soon amount of time, reasonably close amount of time, I'll go back to it and keep playing through it for sure.
Yeah.
So I was having a good time. I would have played it tonight if it didn't bug out on me. So
yeah,
kind of where we are with it.
That sucks. Yeah, that's always crap to lose that much game time to a bug like that.
Yeah, man.
I caught today's Penny Arcade strip, and it was actually about this game. They were making the comment of the fact that it came out in 2012 and it's got like a remaster, re-release, whatever you want to call it. What for you guys? What's the amount of years that is just enough to warrant a remaster or a re-release of a game? If you had to like put a finite amount of years, what would it be? I think mine's 10.
For me, it's not necessarily years, it's more the technology. Like if it's no longer easy to play the game on current technology, I think that's when it would really deem a remaster. Like for instance, it baffles me that Bethesda has not remastered Fallout 1 and 2.
Sure.
That's just baffling to me. That's free money. I mean, to have like a working Fallout 1 and 2 and widescreen with like some basic QL stuff and a UI that actually fit and you could read it, that's baffling to me they haven't done that. Stuff like that I think would be good. This one is a little bit harder because from what I understood, you could just get a near working version on Steam. But the good news about this one is with the camera adjustments and stuff, like the camera you're seeing right now is significantly more zoomed out than it is normally. And one of the big complaints about the game was that the FOV is adjusted as well. And they also fixed some of the stuff that people really were frustrated about, like the difficulty at higher levels and the level scaling. And, they did under the hood changes, which I think was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I'd say more technology than anything. What about you, Zeke?
I, with that sentiment, definitely if years, I couldn't put it into years. I would say if it's a jump from VHS to Blu-ray, like if the game is going to get that much improved, that's when you can do a remake.
Yeah, and I guess maybe the best answer is you can remake a game as much as you want as long as you don't charge that much for it. Because like Witcher, they're doing an RTX version of that game with improved graphics and re-releasing it, but it's a free update, right? Cohh, am I making that up or is that all accurate with the new Witcher stuff that they're the RTX Witcher stuff?
Oh yeah, dude. That's
all free.
A huge yeah.
Okay.
I want to understand that's all free.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would think.
Sad I'm gonna miss that with my run.
Wait, when does that actually? Oh, right, because you're starting your playthrough pretty soon. I missed it.
I'm starting my playthrough like Friday potentially.
I would say
so I can actually get it done before Cyberpunk. But yeah,
I would say install. I'm sure you already have a list of mods in mind, but if you don't, the HD rework mod, unless you're planning on playing vanilla, the HD rework mod is pretty good and pretty simple to install.
Dude, if you could just hit me up with what you used in your run in the chat, that'd be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything that doesn't affect the gameplay or difficulty or anything like that, like I'm all up.
Every once in a while, it would like kind of mess with whatever a character was supposed to be doing because the texture was reworked and it won't load. But apart from that, I had very minor issues. But yeah, we brought up RTX because The Witcher. Zeke, that might be a big enough thing where I think you might be right. Like the VHS to Blu-ray, like RTX might be a big enough of a jump that you start to see a lot of remakes or re-releases of games with like RTX enabled or free updates to games with RTX enabled.
Now, I haven't heard anything about that. Is that for like the entire franchise or just
for Witcher 3?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think they're putting those on the new consoles, maybe, I think is what that's about. Or is that just PC? So. Chad will chime in here in just a second.
Can handle it. Like they're doing like the full RTX override and stuff like that. So they're pumping it out pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Chat said, yeah, that's why they're doing is the new consoles. So it'll look really, I don't know if they put out videos, but the water in The Witcher is definitely.
Yeah. Chat's saying both.
Okay.
New consoles and PC.
Yeah. Did they put out any like images or videos of, I guess, videos of what that would look like? Because I think the water is maybe the biggest improvement you'll see RTX wise, but I have not seen the footage of that. Anyways, that's a long-winded way of saying that's Kingdoms of Amalur. There are game-breaking bugs according to Cohh. But like Cohh said, that doesn't happen to everyone, only unique instances like his, which is par for the course as a streamer.
Hopefully they'll fix it up because I'd love to finish the game.
Yeah. What did the DLCs add like levels to it? I think I played the base game, but I never jumped in for the actual DLCs.
DLCs add items, levels. Like the DLC I'm playing has a whole like build out a keep mechanic. Like there's a lot of additions. The other DLC is apparently designed to be played mostly after the game, so I was gonna finish the game and then do the other DLC. But yeah, I will say the very hard difficulty is very hard.
Yeah.
You add that into the new ways that the levels work. So we're basically like they changed it so instead of levels all big areas, instead of them having static levels all the time, like the levels kind of float more. They float around you, and especially if you're playing on very hard, they float significantly above you at almost all times. So I mean, there were boss fights when I would just get slaughtered. Like I had to spend like 30 plus minutes on a couple boss fights because I just had to find out strategies to make it work without getting basically one shot in many different ways. But they have made it significantly harder for people that felt it was too easy back in the day, for sure.
Gotcha. Cool. We got like 4 or 5 minutes before we'll take a break and bring Brian on, which should be enough because I played 30 minutes of The Sims 4. I don't understand that game. I don't understand The Sims, chat. It's a weird game.
Was that your first time doing The Sims at all?
I've never played Sims 4. I'm about to be married to someone who is like a Sims expert. I have no fucking idea why. I don't understand that game. It's bizarre to me. The Star Wars thing that I played yesterday was like, walk around and scan the Millennium Falcon and get information on the Millennium Falcon, and then go talk to your guy's got to use the restroom. Go use the restroom. And then I closed the game. The best part of it was the character creation, where I got to make a really fat Twi'lek. I think it's Twi'lek, which is if you've seen the original Star Wars. Cohh, this isn't for you.
Oh, the head dongs.
Yeah, the head guy with the long noodle, the noodle head. Yeah. Yeah. I just made a really ugly one of those he had kind of like a pink Hitler stash. It was a weird thing. It was a whole thing. That was the most interesting part of the game.
I have one more thing to talk about just because I have to mention it this week, or by penalty of death and excommunication.
We wouldn't want that.
Speaking of things that are really hard to understand, I played CK3. Good God.
Yeah.
That game is one of the deepest, largest, girthiest, like RPG / grand strategy somethings. Like, oh my Lord. It's a lot of fun. I've done like 3 different runs now. They've all ended in well, they're all kind of going, but the game's incredible. Like, I completely understand why people spend thousands of hours in these games in this franchise. CK3 is really good. I had a great time with it. I think that new players with the tutorial can get going pretty easily, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Now, when you say you finished the run, does that mean like your lineage?
No, I didn't finish any run. They finished me. Is a better way to say it.
You died out.
Yeah, there's like oh yeah. My kingdom just fell apart completely, like a house of cards. Like, you know, at one point I'm like, oh yeah, things are going fine. This is great. And then my guy died. And then my second guy, like, everybody hated him. And then they instantly formed opposing factions, and just within minutes, my country had fallen apart. Which, yeah, was interesting. So there's so much strategy, so much thinking, so much planning. Like, it is an OCD person's like dream, this game of all the things that you can just do and experience. And yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild. And I only scratched barely the surface of this game in like the 10 plus hours I've played it. I feel like I'm still in a tutorial, the beginning of a tutorial.
Sure.
In terms of what you can actually do in this game. So yeah, it's wild.
Wild. Zeke, I think CK3 and you are a match made in heaven. If you've seen some of Bike Man's tweets, I think you could push the limits of what Bike Man's doing with that, and it seems like you'd have a fun time with that. If you have any interest. I do.
You think I wouldn't get bored? I'm actually asking. Seems like a lot of reading and not a lot of action, and not like you have to make your own story, and we all know I hate that.
Yeah, you bring up.
I mean,
points.
but then you make an entire religion based on nudity.
Yeah,
and you're charging into these giant battles with just an army of nudies, and it's just, it kind of takes on its own little bit of charm, kind of RimWorld-esque in some ways.
All right.
I think it's funny that
maybe I'll set aside a day to check it out.
I think it's funny that both you and chat immediately went to, but Zeke, you could make a religion based around nudity. That's
there you go.
Apparently that's how to get Zeke interested.
Dad, Sips has been having a lot of fun with that lately too. Yeah, I have a clip in the chat. Like, that clip pretty much adequately describes most of my CK3ing. Where it's just like, you think everything's good, and then just like, you're done. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I would check it out.
People are about.
Well, go ahead.
People are about 50-50.
Okay.
When they say I like a game, whether I like it or not, they're about 50-50. So
I would say the intrigue of you just checking it out would probably be decent viewer bait if you're interested in doing such a thing. But yeah, either you like it or you don't.
I am.
Either you like it or you don't. Cool. We're going to jump into our break. When we come back, Brian Fargo is going to be here. We'll be talking about Wasteland 3. And it's everything about Wasteland 3 as well as just everything about Brian Fargo. So don't go anywhere.
Early warning.
Oh,
there might be spoilers.
That's a good call.
There might be spoilers.
Yeah.
Just a heads up.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that's said.
Yeah. We'll probably state that at the start of the interview as well, just so people are aware of that type of stuff. But yeah, we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break, and then Brian will be joining us. We'll see you guys in just a bit, right after this.